getting your ducks in a row. For one, that's an attorney. You've got to have an attorney. Two, I didn't get this till later on, but a notification letter is huge. Like if I'm preaching at the Toyota Center, I can get a brand new security guard. Even though I've been preaching over there for 9 years, I might get a new one that comes in and they don't know me. Next thing I know, I got Toyota Center over there giving me a hard time. We don't want you out here with this on. We don't want you doing this. And I look at him and say, hey, where you been? I've been preaching out here for X amount of years. You know, this is my baby right here. I'm on public property. So what would I do in that situation? Send a notification letter to the Toyota Center, letting them know, hey, you know, I don't want to have a problem with you guys. It's my goal to work with you guys. You know, 'cause it's important when you first start preaching in your city that you make friends as you go. I mean, and that's easier said than done when you've got somebody, it seems like the whole world is against you. You've got obstructions at every angle. You've always got a police officer giving you a hard time. When I first started finding my warning sign, I mean, they didn't want me at Minute Maid Park. They didn't want, that's where the Astros play. They didn't want me at Reliant Stadium. That's where the Texans play football. They didn't want me nowhere. Sir, what are you doing with that sign? I'm out here passing out tracts and preaching. Can you do it somewhere else? Oh, this is actually a public sidewalk right here. I'm going to go ahead and do it right here. But the bottom line is that you have to have an attorney and you have to have a good notification letter that you can use. Now, what Liberty Counsel taught me is that it's always better, if you can, not to go to jail. So if you're dealing with a police officer and he wants to take you to jail, you're better off coming across like this. Officer, are you telling me right now you're going to take me to jail for preaching the gospel on this public sidewalk? If he says yes, okay, I want your information, I want your badge number, I will leave, but Charles, the chief of police is going to hear from you, and I'm not going to walk away from this, and I will be back. I says, I'll leave if you're telling me I'm going to go to jail right now, but my attorneys are going to hear about this, and this ain't over with. I said, this is my hometown. I live in Houston. I'll be preaching here. So, and you step back, and now call Liberty Counsel, and they'd send in notification letters right to the city attorney's office. So you have to have attorneys that will actively contact the city attorney's office, the chief of police office, and let them know, hey, if you mess with this guy here, we're going to sue you. And then I had a notification letter given to me, which was a huge, huge game changer. Yeah. But when you send in a 6-page notification letter to the chief of police, the city attorney's office, and to the mayor's office, they know they got to back off. They got to back off. So in the process, you've got to get your ducks in a row. Now, when I called one of my attorneys in Houston for help, one of the first things he wanted to do was to sit down and talk to me. Who is this guy? I mean, are you homeless? I mean, what's the deal with you? Let's do lunch. I want to meet you. So we sat down and we did lunch. And we just talked for a little while. I told him what I was doing, what the Lord put on my heart. And he, after sitting down and talking, he said, I'm going to get behind you. Praise the Lord. And it is by the grace of God, my friend. I always tell my friends in Houston this: where God guides, he provides. Amen. But at the same time, persistence breaks resistance. Because as you step into a new city, they're not just going to roll out that red carpet and say, you can go to the gay pride parade in Houston and just go ahead and preach. Go ahead and do that, we're okay with that. You know, they're not going to do that. So you're going to have to get your ducks in a row, and you're going to have a strategy, and you're going to have to be able to be prayerful.
I'm Sergeant Castle. Hi. So technically they've rented this whole property line, so it's theirs. So if y'all can gently just move across the street, that'd be great.
Now, officer,
I'm Sergeant.
Okay, Sergeant. Now, for one, this is an American city.
Right, but they've rented the whole.
The inside, not the outside. The public can walk up and down here. We can too.
Right. But y'all how many people y'all are in the street.
Just like this person over here holding a sign too.
So that's not
Man, we will sue the city and you personally if we get moved from this spot. I guarantee it. I will fly in from Houston. I live in Houston, Texas. We will sue the city if we get moved. Everybody can walk around here, so can we. This is still America. Maybe our message isn't popular, but it's still legal.
I'm not saying it's, I don't care.
I don't have a Harley Davidson. I have lawyers. I have attorneys. Well, I'm just telling you. We're not breaking any laws. We're on public property, preaching the gospel. We're not doing anything wrong.
In the street right now.
So is how. What about these people here?
We're about to move them right now. We're about to move them right now. We just told the owner to.
I don't appreciate being harassed.
We're not harassing.
I feel like I'm being harassed.
It's not a fact, and you believe it or not.
We'll stand up here.
We're standing on the curb. Okay, you can't be on property.
Everybody else is, ma'am. Everybody else is.
That's what we're just doing.
How come you're addressing us and not them? How come you're walking up to us?
Sir, we did. Why do you think they're not on the street?
This video footage will go into our attorneys, which will go into the city attorney's office and to the mayor's office. I've never lost a court case. I've never lost a court case.
Okay, great. What's your name?
I've been out here 5 years. This isn't my first time out here. 5 years.
I've been out here 21. Well, it's not my first time. Thank you.
I'm still on public property.
When I first started going to the University of Houston, I mean, when the Lord spoke to me, I'm like, Lord, I'm an ex-drug addict. I'm an ex-drunk. You know what I mean? I'm not the guy who goes, I don't want to go preach at the U of H. You know what I mean? My background is the road of hard knocks. You know, it's not, you know, education. But when the Lord put it on my heart to do that, when I started going to U of H and flying my big sign, make no mistake, I had huge opposition. Huge. So this is what I started doing. First I went in prayer. Lord, what should I do in that situation? I took it before the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Lord, you want me in that college. This is starting to look impossible. And I'm trusting on you on this. And let me tell you, for the first year or two at U of H, it was hard. It was hard. The LGBT community always wanted to kick me off the property. Always. Why? I'm the guy, I preached at the Gay Pride Parade. Now I'm at the college. You know, LGBT, they don't want me on the college grounds. And every time I'm out there, I got college kids playing with Ouija boards behind me. You know, I got practical jokes going on. I got, you know, the gay flag flying behind me. You know, I mean, total chaos. Right. But I knew that if I trusted the Lord and I hung in there, where God guides, He provides. But at the same time, I mean, faith without works is dead. And it's true that persistence breaks resistance, but we also have to have strategy. And I believe that in the street preaching movement, without legitimate strategy, we're not really going to be able to step in and do what needs to be done. And when I took it into prayer, what really gave me the victory on this was when I started emailing the major leadership over the college. And I let them know pretty much, hey, if you give me a hard time on this, A, I'm not going nowhere. 2, I will sue the college. These are free speech zones. I know you don't want me out there preaching, but let's take this a step farther. Every legitimate Bible-believing church in Harris County and Houston believes the same thing that I believe in. I'm not teaching any other doctrine than what the legitimate Pentecostal churches teach, than what the Baptist teaches. I'm teaching the fundamentals of the Christian faith on a public school. And everything comes down from leadership. So if you deal with everything at the top, the security guards begin to make the adjustments. And that's what started to take place. I started contacting and shooting up notification letters, letting them know I'm going to be at this, because they wanted to always put me over at the places where there wouldn't be no students. They would shuffle me off to where I'm out in the middle of nowhere. Now, why go to the college if I can't talk to somebody? But the MD Anderson Library had all of the traffic. That's where everybody goes. You go out there with the warning banner, you're going to talk to somebody about Jesus. And it's awesome, and it's for God's glory, and it's for His honor. Yeah. But let me tell you something. When I first started hitting U of H, I tell you what, I knew that I heard from the Lord But there was a couple years there to where it looked pretty rough. I didn't know if I was going to hold that down or not. I mean, just between the LGBT community and security was always out there. David, we want you over at that free speech zone. Hey partner, ain't nobody over there. Have you been over there? It's just me and my shadow. I mean, I get lonely. It ain't working for me.
Preaching to a squirrel.
Yeah, and I got removed from this place more than once. So, you know, I just had to stick with it and stay consistent.
Praise God.
But that notification letter, it has to have attorney's signature on it. And it has to be clear and decisive as far as what you're going to be doing. And it's peace through strength. It's that combination right there that's going to win for you. Because, they don't want you there. So you're not going to go out there and do it without the strength to do it. So they have to know beyond a shadow of a doubt, we're not chasing this guy down the street. And then the strategy of actually doing it. And then of course being able to just deal with the college kids, you know, with all of that, but that goes, you know. Okay. Demonizing police officers. I really think that when you're breaking out your city, you know, and you've got a lot of obstacles coming against you, you know, it's real easy to demonize them. But at the end of the day, when you've got a team in the Montrose, you got 3 or 4 guys out there and you're in the heart of the gay community, and you got 3 foot by 4 foot signs that says homosexuality is a sin, and you're flying warning banners, I mean, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. And even though many of these police officers have stuffed me in police cars, I've never been to jail as a Christian, but by the grace of God and by the strategies of this movement right here is the reason I haven't been to jail. I use the notification letters. I talking to different people and talking to Liberty Counsel. By the grace of God, I haven't. That might change. Anything's possible. But at the end of the day, I think that it's a big mistake to demonize the police officers in your city.
Right.
Even though it's hard to deal with someone who's always, you know, giving you a hard time or whatever, at the end of the day, if you continue to push through it, what's going to happen is the officer's going to have to back off. And in time, if you don't demonize them, you'll make friends with them.
That's right.
And I had Officer Cisneros at the Gay Pride Parade last year in Houston. I had this great big Red Bull truck pull right up in front of the team. We had like 12 of us. And I got this great big truck. I mean, this is a big truck. It's like a bread truck or something, with speakers blasting out music, and they're giggling and laughing. Ha ha, Stokes, we got you now. You know. And then the officer that was assigned to me, we're at barricades, she wasn't going to do nothing about it. And I didn't want to be rude to her because, you know, you've got to be able to make friends with people as you're doing things, but at the same time, I need this truck moved. You know, why be here if I can't, you know, preach to somebody? I need this truck out of here. So I'm trying to guard my friendship with her and at the same time get the truck moved. And she wasn't willing to do it. And I could see these people, they weren't going nowhere. So I very gently, professionally, and as politely as I knew how to, and in Houston, all of those things are a big part of that particular city, I just told her, I said, ma'am, if you don't have that truck moved, I'm going to get a hold of one of your authorities and have that thing moved. And she goes, well, I'll get my commanding officer down here. I says, please do that immediately. I need that truck out of here. Well, guess who shows up? Officer Cisneros. This particular individual has stuffed me in a police car before. And when he's seen me, because of how I handled him in that situation, and I could have really taken him in, and things could have really gone bad for him, because I had a lot of video footage on this guy. When he seen me, he was like, went out of his way to be friendly. David, what's the problem here? What's going on? You know, Officer Cisneros, hey, we're just trying to preach the gospel. I got this Red Bull truck here. I mean, he's not here just because he's trying to sell Red Bulls. He's trying to block the preaching. He says, I'm on it. And he had that truck moved just like that. So making friends as you go without demonizing is huge. And I know that's hard because, I mean, but let's face it, we deal with the police.
Amen.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't matter how, I mean, I can't speak for a lot of you, but even in Houston, at Christmas Day, I was at Discovery Green Park, downtown. I'm flying my banner with a friend, we're passing out tracts, we're talking to people, and I had somebody try to move me. And I just told us, really, I've been preaching here for I don't know how long. I got a picture on my website of me preaching in this spot. I says, you know what, I'm hanging out right here. I said, I'm not going anywhere. And I said it kind of polite, but a sodomite had really gotten on me, and they didn't want me in this particular spot, and they were trying to get me moved. I mean, welcome to what we do. You know, just because you got your city plowed doesn't mean all problems are solved. Right. And the guy that worked for Discovery Green Park says, David, I want you to stand over there. I said, brother, if you looked over there, ain't nobody over there, everyone's over here. I said, I'm a street preacher. If I stand over there, I'm yelling over there, I don't want to throw my voice out. He says, okay, well, what are we going to do? I says, you need to call an HPD officer. We need to deal with this. So HPD rolls in, and he looks at me, he sees the sign, and I didn't recognize this particular officer. I mean, Houston's a big town. We got 6 million people in the greater Houston area. I don't know every single police officer. So this officer walks up, he goes, sir, are you here to cause problems? I said, absolutely not. He says, what are you doing? I'm here to preach the gospel. But this officer, who's he going to tell no to? He either has to tell me no, that I have to move, or I can't stay, or Discovery Green Park in the city of Houston, no. Someone's going to hear no in this situation. Street preacher, big city. I mean, in God we trust, it brings in a whole new place right there. And at the end of the day, he walked over and had the great big talk with them with Discovery Green Park, and they're having their great big, and I already knew I won when that's going on. He's telling them the bad news. I knew what was up with that. So we just kept preaching and kept it going. But at the meantime, and what I do love about that situation is capitalize on it. Because that's very interesting to everybody. When they see the cops and they see the police officers, I mean, all of a sudden everyone's got the video cameras going, like, the street preacher's going to jail. That's live entertainment, So that's a good time to keep the preaching going, keep the tracks going, and let it happen. Yeah. But when that officer walked away from me, I thanked him and I pat him on the back as he walked away. Because it's important that we make friends as we go. If you're living in your city, I mean, let's face it, when you're out there, I've rebuked Denise Parker eyeball to eyeball twice. I mean, at a Thanksgiving parade last year, not this year, the year before, and a rock and roll concert. I mean, the Lord put me in a position. She came around the Thanksgiving Pride Parade, and the Spirit of God hit me. Boom, for you Pentecostals, you know what I'm talking about. When the Holy Ghost hit me, I looked over and seen her, I knew what was up. And let me tell you what, when you're at a parade, and you're holding a warning banner, and you're rebuking the mayor, people get away from you quickly. Can you rebuke the mayor? Is that legal? People are getting, I don't know. There was big crowds everywhere, but around me there was nobody, Okay. One thing I'll say about Denise Parker, at least she has the courage to stand up for what she believes in. It breaks my heart that the average American pastor has no backbone. They're not willing to stand in the gap and preach the truth. There you go. It breaks my heart.
They don't want repercussions upon their church building and people.
Amen, bro. Okay, video cameras are huge. When you're out there,
Video cameras?
having a video camera is huge. Because when you're talking to a police officer, and when I first started going out there, I used my cell phone, but there's something about a video camera, it just carries more weight, it carries more authority. And when you've got a video camera on a police officer, it changes their tone, it changes their attitude, and it gives you more authority. There's been times in Houston where I pulled out a video camera on a security guard walking across the street. The second they see it, they turn around and walk away. So it's huge having a video camera. And I know it's a hassle because you'll see me wearing it tonight. I'll use it tonight. If I see someone in the crowd that is getting just really, you can tell this guy's on the edge, I'll shoot video footage for about 2 or 3 minutes. Maybe not that long. It just kind of depends. And I want him to know that I'm videotaping him before I even walk up to him. That way he knows that I'm videotaping it. But if I give him 2 or 3 minutes, that gives him 2 or 3 minutes of feeling the weight of the video camera being on him. Yeah. And through that, a lot of his courage is leaving. That boldness is starting to go away, and that video camera starts to seep in a little bit. And then when I walk up and just say, hey bro, I don't want to see you go to jail. If you swing on somebody, if you get violent, this is what's going to happen. Yeah. You're in a lose-lose situation here. You're not going to win anyways. Right. What are you going to get from this? Boom, problem solved. And I hook it right on my banner pole, and they are awesome. And you don't always have to have it on, and they don't know if it's on or not. But when you're holding your banner and you're talking to people, and you got your GoPro right here, you can hit one button and it's on, and it starts blinking red. Nice. And it keeps people accountable. So I think a GoPro, they're not real cheap, but for what you get out of it, it's pretty huge. So having also a website is big too. Because like I said, I'm sending in a notification letter to San Antonio to preach the Gay Pride Festival over there, which I've been a couple times.
Amen.
When that notification letter goes in, if you have a YouTube video clip of you preaching on that letter that you're sending in, plus your website, they can check you out and know this guy's for real. Yeah. It carries more weight than just an email letter. And I always let them know, hey, it's always our goal to work with you guys. We do not want to have police problems. We do not want to sue the city. We're going to go there. We're going to preach the gospel. We're going to get out of there. We know you don't want us, so that's obvious. But we're going to find a public spot of our choosing, and you have to mention that. They'll cart you off to some free speech zone behind a dumpster somewhere. You know, you've got to make sure you tell them that we're going to be, you know, pick our own spot. And so a website is pretty huge, and a YouTube video of you preaching somewhere with 3 or 4 guys is helpful. Because if you're rolling in on a city, and like we do in San Antonio, we hit the surrounding stuff, they're going to check you out. Their city attorney's office, they're going to kick the tires on you. And if you don't have if it doesn't look like you're legit, or if they think they can still you know, they'll do that. So the website's pretty huge, and having a YouTube videos is helpful in there, and that works for me. Like every time I go to Austin and preach, because 6th Street's pretty big up there, I always do that, and they give me a phone call. Business cards are pretty big, because if you're talking to people, you can give people information. I have 2 different business cards, one with a phone number, one without a phone number, because I don't want everyone to have my phone number. And I would say also it's a work in progress. Discovery Green Park. Houston actually has a city ordinance. They've kind of threw in this little loophole to where, because somebody from the outside cleans the park, we can't do free speech inside of it. And it's just because we live in an atheistic city, and they don't want free speech guys in there. And I've already talked to Liberty Council, and they'll remove that for us. I just have to do it. And sometimes I get a little bit lazy. It is what it is. If I got to go down there, I got to sue the city, and go through all of this. But at the end of the day, once we accomplish that, the biggest park downtown Houston is Discovery Green Park, and that's where they have all of the big festivals and stuff. And if we can go into the park with our banners and not have to preach it on the outside, which is still good preaching, that would be huge. So it does take time, and I just want to thank you guys for everything you do for the Lord.
All this property belongs to this complex, so I'm gonna have to.
So you're telling me beyond the shadow of a doubt I'm standing on private property?
Just go somewhere else. Man, this belongs to this property.
I'm preaching the gospel on public property. Jesus is coming to church.